Now this channel is normally really quite MX-5 Miata centric, and that's cool, that's kind of what I do here. However, there's one MX-5 that really doesn't get much love. That would be the NC or Mark III. However, today, that's all about to change. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Hey Beavis, you idiot, that's not an NC, it's not even an MX-5. What are you talking about? And you're right, it isn't technically an NC or an MX-5, but it is of course a Mazda RX-8. It does share the same platform with the NC MX-5 and it has a lot of interchangeable parts, but most excitingly, it's got the Rotary engine. But I'll get back to the engine in a moment. First, let me tell you about why we're here, why this car's here, and what we're going to do with this RX-8. So if you do a quick search in my area here in Australia on Facebook, eBay, car sales, Gumtree, RX-8s vary wildly in price and you usually can't get one for less than about $4,000. We picked this one up for just $1,500 bucks, which is, as far as I can tell, the cheapest advertised RX-8 in Australia. Obviously prices vary wildly around the world, but whatever way you look at it, $1,500 bucks for an entire RX-8 that is in pretty good condition, that's $1,500 bucks for a 2004 four-door family sports car with a manual transmission and ABS and aircon and all the mod cons. That just seems like insane value for such a stunningly unique car with a really unique engine, and that's where we get to the bad news. The car doesn't run. The engine seems to have lost compression, but as is typical with this channel, I try to bring cars back to life, and well, this car is no different. Today we're going to be pulling out the engine, rebuilding it, and hopefully bringing this car back to life and getting it back on the road. This is going to take a few weeks or months to get fixed up. It's going to take us time, that's just a fact with rebuilding a spare engine in your spare time, but such is life. Nonetheless, please do stick around, I hope you enjoy, but that's enough talking. Let's get started with actually pulling this thing apart. I don't know what I will say.
What do you want to say?
I just want to say let's get to it.
So let's get to it.
So we get stuck right into it and start by removing most of the engine bay ancillaries, such as the airbox and associated ductwork, the battery and its mount, many of the cooling system hoses for the radiator and engine, along with numerous engine bay wiring connectors, of which there are plenty. Then it's onto the more fiddly parts of the process. Things like vacuum lines for the engine, and there was a lot of those, and the connector to the ECU. And we start the removal of parts of the engine's intake system, including the throttle body, and splitting the top half of the intake manifold away from the bottom half. Remember, this is all unmanned territory for us, so we're really rather guessing as we go and trying to work it out, what goes where, and trying to keep tabs on where it all needs to go back once we eventually get around to putting it all back together again. Well, that's something I wasn't expecting. a set of 4 GMLS coils sitting under here. The bracket looks a little disappointing, but nonetheless a good choice of upgrade ignition wise. Certainly would be cool to have the V8 engine from which these coil packs were originally the home of, but, well, maybe one day in the future, hey? Now, while in a lot of ways the rotary engine is fundamentally much simpler than an internal combustion piston engine, being that there's, in a way, no worries for a timing chain or belt, no camshafts or cams, and no naturally moving chunks of metal known as pistons. It's all really quite complex compared to a rotary. But the rotary does come with some supplementary systems that mean it's not all it's cracked up to be. For one, there's the oiling systems, there's multiple stage injection, there's complex intake stuff. It's all things that need a whole heap of wiring to power them and solenoids to make it all work, so that's what we need to now remove from the engine.
You took the bucket out as a plug. Oh!
For the radiator.
Did you pour it? Oh, it's over there. I can see it from here.
Time, I think, to take you for a tour of the interior. Thankfully, pretty clean and tidy inside, and quite a nice interior for the time. Nothing breathtaking, but nice. Of course, the party piece of this 4-door coupe are the rear suicide opening doors, which offer entry into the rear 2 seats. Really only enough room for kids, or tiny adults, I suppose. And this is the conclusion of our first day of work on the car. All of the upper engine bay components are removed and a clear path has been made to allow us to soon claw this engine from the engine bay. All the hoses, wiring, etc. are tucked out of the way nicely. Now all that's needed is to get underneath the car and attend to things like the exhaust, transmission bolts, underbody bracing, and then hopefully just remove the engine mounts, which should permit this rotary heart from being removed from the home in which it has been living for some 15 years or so. I really hope you enjoyed this first episode of our latest build. Please consider sharing this video with your mates and stick around for next time where the engine comes out of the car. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
I'm going to try and remember this and then spiel it back. So now the channel is normally really... I have to duck so that the camera can see me, like bloody... If I was shorter... Okay, up higher. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That'll do.
What are you trying to say?